All right, what's going on, guys? It's your man Ed Hayes here, back for another one. And in this one, I want to talk about common title company issues and how to deal with closing. There's certain issues that we tend to face over and over and over again as wholesalers. And if you're just getting started, or maybe you haven't closed that many deals, maybe you don't really have an idea of what you could ultimately end up experiencing at the title company. So I just wanted to make a quick video to kind of break down what's possible and also how to avoid these common pitfalls that people tend to face at the title company. So the first thing I want to talk about is the title company just taking too long, basically. That's a big thing. Let's say, for instance, like you've got a buyer, right? You just found this buyer for this deal, and then you're just sending off the title, like the paperwork to the title company and stuff like that. Now, very often, it's about to take them like another week, maybe even 2 weeks sometimes, like worst case scenario, to actually do the title work. Your buyer may be deciding to back out, like if it takes them too long, to get the title work done. That also kind of goes along with like the actual contract date on your contract. So like if you only got like 2 weeks left on the actual contract and the title work takes like 2 weeks, then the buyer can legally back out of that contract. So here's how you kind of avoid the title work taking too long situation. What I recommend is literally like once you get that purchase and sale agreement signed with the seller, go ahead and shoot that off to the title company so they can start the title work in advance while you're actively marketing for your buyers. Don't wait until you've already found a buyer and then you go out there and start doing the title work, because it just makes the process take longer. Buyers love it when you tell them that the title work is already back and everything is good to go. That's literally music to their ears. If the title work hasn't been started, it's kind of like it's like a yellow flag, if you will. They don't know exactly what to think because they don't have enough data on what's actually going on the property. So that's a big thing. That's like, that could take a lot of time. So that kind of goes into the second thing as well, which is there could be issues actually going on the title of this property. There's no guarantee just because you got the property under contract that the seller was actually telling you everything. They may not even know. It could be additional owners on this property. The property can have liens and taxes and encumbrances that can prevent you from closing on the property. I've literally been working on deals and they had like over $1 million worth of stuff and that was going on the property. I was like, well, what the hell? It's like a $50,000 property. Made no logical sense. The title company was even blown. Like they was like mind blown. They didn't understand how like it came from. Well, they probably knew a lot better than me, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. It's just crazy, y'all. It's crazy. So just know that like things can go left. Don't start counting that money until you know that the deal has already had the title work completed. So don't be ultra confident that the seller is going to tell you everything truthfully either. One of the best lines I've ever heard is that sellers lie and buyers do too. It's just so true. At the end of the day, everyone lies. Everyone's trying to get the best deals. The seller want to make more. Buyer wants to pay less. You're just stuck in the middle actually trying to quarterback everybody. So here's how I would recommend avoiding this property has taxes, liens, other encumbrances. Maybe it's on the demo list, things of that nature. What you want to do is that when you're vetting that property to put it under contract, you want to start going out to the local county websites, basically. Like head over to your local county websites and type in, for instance, like tax lien list, demolition list, code violation list. Put in that property's APN number, which you can easily access using PropStream. And then once you put in the APN number, it's going to tell you, does this property have taxes? Is this property on the demo list? Is this property condemned? Does it have code violations? Whatever it may be. There's a lot of different situations that could be going on at the property. The seller could potentially have been getting taxed or like fined for having overgrown grass for a very long time, and they could be getting like a monthly bills in the mail. A lot of times that's the reason why people even want to sell us the properties in the first place. But shout out to Miss Carter out there in Chicago. She's always done this. She's kind of gotten a reputation for having super quality deals because she's going to go and do basically what's called like a soft title check herself. She's going to check the tax lien records. She's going to check that demolition list, the code violation. She's going to see what's really going on this property. Keep in mind, that's basically what the title company does. But you can do a soft title check to avoid those additional issues at the closing table. And also you can structure your deal appropriately. So if there are taxes, liens, and other encumbrances, you can just raise the price of what you're going to offer them potentially or whatever. Like tell the seller, hey, look, we'll throw in another $5,000 into our offer. So then we don't have any issues when it actually comes down to the closing table. We want to get this stuff taken care of. Now, the next thing that you may have to deal with when you're working with title companies is the title companies or their agents being rude and or unresponsive. This is very common. So let's say, for instance, you're working on this deal and there's like 4 different people involved. You've got the seller, you've got you've got the buyer, maybe the buyer has a representative. That's like 4 individuals on the deal. Maybe an email comes out from the title company and now everyone's emailing the title company back, trying to see what's going on. Maybe these people are or are not like in the same email thread, and maybe the title company is literally getting 10 to 12 emails in one day from a whole bunch of different people on one deal. For the title company, this can be very stressful, and they have to manage how much time they give to each deal and each individual and things of that nature. So if you want to avoid your title reps being rude and or unresponsive, here's what I recommend. What I would recommend is have great conversations with these title agents. You want to call them, introduce yourself, actually try to get to know them a little bit better early on. Very often you won't have to worry about them being rude, unresponsive. Honestly, if you're the nice person that they actually have connected with, it's more than likely that even if they're not answering for anybody else, you can still get through. You can actually see that happen in one of my previous videos where I was talking to the title rep over at Wiseman Law out in Georgia or whatever. And it started off kind of contentious, but ultimately I just had a good conversation with her and I was able to transform that energy. I think one of the comments said I changed her energy from like angry Karen to like grandma with the cookies or something like that. Shout out to you who wrote that comment. That was funny. But yeah, I think that's what you want to do when it comes to title companies being unresponsive or their agents being rude and things of that nature. And also keep in mind, you can always just go to another title company as well. You don't have to stay with these title companies. You can take your deal elsewhere if that's what it comes down to. Just because they've started the title work doesn't mean that you have to work with them. They're the ones, like, you're paying them. This is a service. And if they're basically being assholes or something like that, you don't have to work with that individual. Keep that in mind as well. I've seen a lot of wholesalers basically keep going down this path with the title company or an attorney or whatever, it just seems so obvious that they didn't really care about this deal. Maybe they were only making a couple $1,000s or whatever. A lot of times these title companies aren't going to be for $2,000. Like, make sure that you got enough spread on your deal as well, because that can absolutely affect how quick the title company is working for you. You want to be reaching out though. Try not to be a nuisance and be annoying and constantly be blowing them up and stuff like that or whatever. I try not to do that. And sometimes like kind of bounce off of other people. So if there's several people that could reach out, maybe instead of you, ask your wholesaler partner that you're working with to reach out. Instead of you, ask the actual buyer, the principal on the deal, for them to reach out to the title company. So then you're not the one constantly blowing them up, kind of giving yourself a bad name. And another issue that you can deal with at the title company is going to be them not cashing you out on time. That's like a super emergency right there. So in those scenarios where, the deal literally just closed, you didn't get a wire, maybe they're trying to send you a check and maybe they don't even send the check out right away, whatever it may be. I've heard of people saying like, yeah, it took me a couple weeks to get a check in the mail. They didn't send it out right away, obviously, or even like they didn't cash me out my wire on the day of closing and things of that nature. These are things that you may have to deal with. I've dealt with things like this. So what you want to do to avoid not getting cashed out on time, which is the biggest emergency you could possibly deal with, in my opinion. What you want to do is that you want to make sure that you send over all of your wiring instructions prior to the deal actually closing. And what I would recommend, like different companies have different procedures for how you need to submit your wiring information. It can be as simple as just texting them or emailing them over your, the business information and your wiring instructions. It can also be as complicated as what happened in my previous video, where the title company was asking me to fax over that information. However it is, what you want to do is communicate in advance with the title company, find out what their wiring procedures are, and then you go ahead and get over your wiring instructions as early as possible. I would say at least within 3 days max, like before the deal actually is supposed to close, something like that. Sometimes title companies aren't going to reach out to you to get that wiring information. Sometimes they'll just default to just mailing you out a check, and they'll just be asking for your mailing address. If you notice that, be like, no, I do appreciate, here's my mailing address. However, I would like to receive a wire for this transaction. Here's my wiring instructions. Boom. And then put the wiring instructions on there. Like I said, some title companies are going to be different. Some will allow you to just send an email. If you have to do something technical or complicated, like with a fax situation or whatever, sometimes the fax won't go through. It'll just keep failing and failing and failing and failing. That was happening to me this past Friday. I'm like, God, you trying to mess with my money? And then all of a sudden I got one through. But I'm just saying, to avoid actually missing out on your money, to avoid not getting cashed out on time, you're absolutely going to want to make sure that you do whatever you need to do to get your wiring instructions over before the day of closing. Don't wait until the last minute, because very often these title companies aren't going to be looking for you right away. At least they're probably going to wait until the very last moment, or like literally like an hour before the deal closes. Like, oh yeah, if they want to wire, tell them to send over X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, what the hell? Da 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 da. So kind of keep that in mind. Like, you want to make sure that you get your money. So have your information ready, already write it out in advance. Be ready to copy and paste it over, or be ready to fax it over when the time comes. Boom. But that's it. Basically it, guys. I probably could keep going on with this for a very long time in terms of different scenarios that you may have to face at the title company. But guys, why don't y'all drop a comment down below and comment? Let me know, like, what are some other typical title company situations that we experience as wholesalers and that we can avoid. Like, let's drop some gems in the comment box down below. Also, guys, let me know, is this video a W or an L? Hit that like button for me. And like I said, drop a comment down below and let me know if you like videos like this, and I'll make more. But anyway, though, guys, I'm not going to hold y'all up. I hope that y'all staying healthy and blessed as always. And until next time, guys, we are out.